Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the MHGG Guys Board Gaming Podcast. I'm your host Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I am Jeff.
And joining us again for this episode is Kyle from Sounding Board.
Hello everybody.
Welcome back, Kyle.
Thank you.
Howdy, howdy.
Are you from Sounding Board, or is there some other origin point?
There's no other origin point.
Okay.
He did not exist before Sounding Board.
Or before YouTube.
Or before YouTube. No, me and my wife had a channel where we were doing top 100 videos. So we did do that under Dorks Gone Wild.
Top 100 videos?
Top 100 board games. We do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, once a
Lists.
year. And then we also had a channel where we were doing collecting autographs, opening them when we got them, doing videos of that.
You have a fuckload of autographs.
We have over 1,000.
Jesus Christ. No, we have a review that we need to do because we do reviews and discussions on Fridays. And that review is Lisboa. So Lisboa is a 2017 release from designer Vital Lacerda, featuring art by Ian O'Toole and published by Eagle Griffin Games. It plays 1 to 4 players and takes 60 to 120 minutes. Zach, you got a rules breakdown for us?
Yes, I do. In Lisboa, you are part of the local nobility working to rebuild Lisbon after an earthquake, tsunami, and fires have wrecked the city. So when you play a card onto your board, you will be getting a reward, and then you will be able to pay to do up to 2 state actions. These include adding state officials to the noble's office, getting a public building contract, building a ship, producing goods, moving the cardinal, and gaining royal favors. You can also visit a noble to build a store to produce more goods, gain decrees for end-of-game scoring, and opening a public building to score already built stores. The other players can follow these noble actions if they have the correct royal favor, but if you play a treasury card to the court, this will allow you to do one of these noble actions without the ability of others to follow you. Building stores and public buildings will clear rubble off the map, filling your warehouses, and sets of these will allow you to hold more goods and have more cards on your player board. Clearing 2 sets of rubble or running out of cards ends the first phase of the game, and that will be you will then add more powerful cards to adding more powerful cards in the second phase. Clearing 4 sets of rubble or running out of cards again will end the game. Whoever has the most wigs at the end of the game wins.
Right on. That is a overview of Lisboa.
A brief.
That is both a simpler and at the same time more complex version of how to play Lisboa.
Yes.
Before we dive into the review, in the interest of all of, we've done a bunch of talks recently on ethics and biases and objectivity and all that. So this is a game that we received a review copy for. However, we did not play on the review copy we received. That's sitting behind me in shrink wrap. We played on my Kickstarter copy.
That you had long purchased before we were actually getting a review copy of.
Yes. Yeah, I Kickstarted this back in December of 2016. We didn't know until about 2 weeks before Gen Con that we were getting a review copy.
And I can also say Adrian loves this designer, so
and
he has
yeah.
all this stuff.
We've covered Gallerist. Ideally, someday I'd like to cover Vinos and Kanban and CO2 and basically everything Vital does. I'm going to try and get on the show.
But yes, we did get a review copy for this.
But, yep, just full objectivity.
Yep.
Or clarity or
But this
whatever.
was going
That's
to
not
be
the right word.
a game you were going to get long before, so
yes.
the review copy had happened to
Or-
arrive.
Yes.
Correct. There was even a little bit of a debate about which would actually get here first, my Kickstarter copy or the review copy. The review copy beat my Kickstarter copy by, I think, a week.
Yep. Sounds about right.
Anyhow, what was everybody's thoughts going into Lisboa?
Starting with
Zach, how about we start with you?
So so far I've played 2 different Vital games. Ugh.
3.
What was the?
You've played Gallerist, you've played Vinos.
Uh-huh.
Well, okay, 3 including. So going into this, you'd
Yes.
played 2 prior.
Yes.
I'm on the same page now.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
All right. And I definitely wasn't a fan of the Gallerist, and I came
Crazy
out.
person.
Yes, I'm fine with that. And I was very lukewarm towards Vinos. If I probably played it again, it probably might sink down a bit for me. But so far, I just haven't been a fan of his style of games, and so I was not necessarily I definitely wasn't looking forward to it. But I'm like, as soon as that came out on Kickstarter, I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna have to review this, so I'm gonna have to get some plays of this game. So I was going in hesitant, and it's not like I don't think they're bad games. They just
They're
so
not
far
for you.
they haven't been for me. So
Okay. Continuing around the table, Kyle, do you know what your thoughts were kind of when you first went? I know you're not part of our show, so maybe you don't have the same thought processes, but what were you thinking when you first were getting
I was
Lisboa down?
intimidated, at first because I had not played his games yet, and everybody kept saying how heavy they were, and the Gallerist looked, it's a huge. All the games are just huge box, so I was very intimidated, but very excited. So this is in my wheelhouse, so I was very, very excited.
All right, Jeff.
I had played the Gallerist and really liked the Gallerist. I thought the game was gorgeous. I didn't really have any idea how well it played or anything like that. So I was coming in positive to be like, Gallerist is good. I think this one might be good too.
Right on.
Of course, I had seen the board previously and be like, holy shit, there's a lot of stuff on that board.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's all blue.
Yeah.
It's good blue. It's a solid blue. Toilet bowl blue.
Well, anyway.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was a Salute Your Sorts reference, everyone.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so for me going into this game, I was stoked. I had been interested. Like, this game came out on Kickstarter right when I was really starting down the heavy board game path. In fact, I think that this was actually possibly my first Vital Lacerda game because I played the prototype copy of this at Heavy Cardboard's headquarters with Edward and Amanda and Megan. And I think at that point I had not backed the Kickstarter yet, so I had not gotten my copies of Gallerist or Vinos.
Oh, did you get those early from
Yes,
this?
but it's from the same Kickstarter.
Okay.
So I played it. I enjoyed it. I'd heard really, really good things about both Vinos and Gallerist. So when I backed on the Kickstarter, I didn't just get Lisboa. I paid the extra to get both Gallerist and Vinos. And then because I paid the extra by a certain date, they shipped early, and I got them before Christmas. So this was actually...
So like 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so I got Gallerist only like 8 months ago, and I've already played it as many times as I have. And in that time, Vital has become easily my favorite designer. So when I first sat down to play the prototype copy, I was aware of the Kickstarter. I was interested. I'd been interested in Vital's games for a while. It was daunting sitting down to see that board with everything splayed out. It was a prototype copy, so some of the components weren't nearly as nice. It was in a modified Gallerist box, I believe.
Modified?
like it had the Lisboa thing printed on like printer paper and glued to the top of the Gallerist box.
Classy.
You could see the side still said Gallerist.
Nice.
Because, they're all in the same kind of size box.
Yes.
They are, yes.
Yeah. And but I was excited. Like I was full on into heavy worker placements. I had heard really good things about Vital. But my first time playing it was before I was a fan. Then months passed. We got our copies. I got a chance to sit down and play it again. And opening up, I was immediately re-daunted because it was like, oh, I forgot how to set this game up and actually play it because it's been like 6 months. And so kind of had to relearn all that. But I was still really excited because I remembered that we really enjoyed that initial play. And then since then, I'd played Vinos, Kanban, Gallerist, and enjoyed all of them. I have yet to not enjoy a Vital game. And so I was going into the plays of the full production copy. I was still excited. Like, I remember liking this. I've liked everything else of his. I'm excited. So that's where I was coming from. Which leads nicely into components, since we have all played this on the nice full fancy production version now.
Yeah, yes.
Kickstarter
with the
and
Kickstarter one. Though.
Kickstarter
Yes.
and non-Kickstarter.
We haven't played. Well,
Bullshit Balls is non-Kickstarter.
no.
Yep.
It is except for,
He paid extra for the upgrade kit.
but he didn't have the metal coins.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. He did have the
Yes.
fancy meeples.
Yes.
Because he paid for the upgrade kit that you can get separately from the base game.
So Adrian, I have to ask because I don't remember actually looking at the regular meeples that are at all. Are they better than the Gallerist meeples?
I don't know. Mine does not have them.
Oh, it didn't come out at all?
No, mine came only with the upgraded ones.
All right.
We could open this one that's in shrink and find out, but I don't know.
Okay.
What the quality of those meeples were.
Okay.
Because the Kickstarter, the upgrade kit adds like more thematic meeples that are wearing wigs.
Yeah.
And
I've played it, and I don't remember the meeples being... I've played each one.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I don't remember the meeples being weird.
Well, so the only thing is that like Adrian didn't notice at all for Gallerist, but literally as soon as he handed me my meeples, I go, "Why are my meeples so fucked up?" So
They were like mutated crazy meeples in
Yeah.
Gallerist.
I did not notice, so I don't.
Yeah.
So,
I don't remember
yeah.
thinking anything. There's a hush.
The upgrade kit. I'm
Yeah,
pulling
yeah,
it out.
that's the upgrade kit.
Yeah.
Those are not the ones that I'm
No, I
asking
know,
about.
but just so it's available to talk about.
Yeah.
Dude, you still do a lot of stuff that would be good on camera.
Yeah.
If you guys know that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
He's
pulling
showing
things
components
out.
right there. That's pretty awesome.
We're just also what we don't see because we don't film is we just have our fingers up to each other the whole time.
Well,
just everyone's getting the middle finger.
I do-
blasting away the whole way through hours.
I do
Hours
once a week.
straight.
I flick off one of the guys, though. I do it. I pick different people every week, but it rotates. So
Yeah.
Anyway, focusing on the components for this
Let's see if
game.
Ant catches that one.
Focusing on the components for this game.
I'm going to start with components
wow.
because I have opinions on these components.
All right, Jeff, go ahead.
These components are fucking amazing.
Yes.
This game's there's a ton of shit in this game.
I just like
And-
that you're wagging your finger at me when you're saying that.
Yeah. I do have to say, one of my favorite things about this game is the components. I was blown away by the pictures of the game and stuff like that, and actually playing the game and getting to feel everything. The player boards, etc., are all like fucking 10 out of 10. For the very small nitpick of one of the underlayers of one of the dual layer, like it's almost triple
They
layer
are
player
triple
boards.
layer player boards.
Triple layer player boards. It was a little off center, and I mean, for how much you're paying for this game, I sure wish that one of those wasn't off center, but everything else is absolutely amazing.
Yes. Even in the base set, like all the like markers and things are nice wooden meeples and things like that. They're just slightly upgraded with the additional components package or the Kickstarter edition that I have. But yeah, all the cardboard in the game, the board itself is really nice, thick cardstock. Even like the cardboard coins, if you don't have the metal coins upgrade, are thick cardboard punch-out coins.
Ultra thick.
One thing I do like about the cardboard coins is that like the 5 and 10 pieces are just it's like
Clusters.
clusters. I do like that they have the physical component of like that 10 is just like a bunch of ones.
Yeah.
So I did like that.
And a lot of the previews show it like just a number 5 on a 1 coin and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That is not the final actual production.
No.
Yeah. The player boards, like we mentioned, are triple layer, so they are meant to where you can easily slide cards underneath because you do that a lot. You slide them underneath, whether they're on the top or the bottom, and then the top layer has parts removed so that where you set your rubble cubes are in little inset squares. Where you set your houses that you then later build onto the board are in inset squares so that they don't jostle around too much. Which I know, Zach, leads to one of your nitpicks for the components for that player board regarding where the courtier pieces
state
sit.
officials?
The state officials.
They're-
Okay.
Which leads into your nitpick for it.
Okay. So my main nitpick with that one is just the fact that like all the other pieces have their own, like this rebel piece goes here and it slots in its own spot, whereas this one is just like here is all how many, I don't know how many numbers. 8
10, something like that.
Some of it. Here is where all 8 of them go, and it shows spots to where it looks like it's supposed to be spaced out, but there's no extra grooves for it to actually be spaced out. So it's like either I have to space it out myself, or what I just do is I just shove them all into a corner.
Yeah.
And then there's like 33% of just extra space. So I felt like it either should have just been that, or it should have actually been grooved towards that. Now, are the meeples any thicker by any chance? No. Okay.
No, I mean, again, I've never
Right.
seen them, so I don't know.
So I've yet to play the game where anybody's used that spot.
What do you mean? Nobody's
That's where they
used
have
that
to
spot?
live.
Yeah.
That's the player board.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean,
But
right.
you just
You
don't.
just set them off to the side
Yeah.
or something like that?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
That makes sense.
because we knock them over with because we're playing on smaller tables
Yeah.
usually,
Yeah.
and that's just elbowed all day.
Fair enough.
Complaint number 2, but
Elbows all day.
it's not actually a complaint on the game as much as just Colorado, is that these boards like to warp like a son of a bitch.
Yeah, I had to specially like wait mine for a while. Now they're good. They don't warp like they used to. But like
Yes.
that first time I busted them out, it was like immediately like it's a seesaw.
Yes.
like
Yeah,
It's real rough.
but that'll be any game.
Yes.
yeah, that
With
pretty much
that
any game with
thickness,
that much
yeah.
cardboard
Yeah.
does that.
My only complaint wise is the cards themselves. So colorblind, I'm slightly colorblind, and the 3 cards looked very. You'd have red cards and blue cards, but the face is what would matter of what type of card it was. So that was the biggest problem I had was like, oh, it's a red card, so it's the king every time. Well, it's not. It's whoever's face is on it. So I had that problem. The colors didn't stand out to me.
Gotcha.
But I mean, the red cards are always that same face.
I'm talking about the kings. All
nobles.
3 cards are red, but the king is the red action, say.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you
yeah.
meant the background color
And so,
behind
no,
that.
and then the faces aren't dissimilar enough for you.
Right.
Okay.
So they all kind of look.
Yeah, I can definitely understand.
That was my biggest. Then I started to recognize the faces.
Yeah.
So it was no
for
problem
the first playthrough.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
I'm trying to do the red action. It's a red card.
Yeah.
I want to do that. But other than that,
a blue dude on a red card.
It's a blue dude on a red card.
Yeah.
Which, if you're colorblind, is like just a dude.
Gotcha.
Kind of like that other color.
Yeah.
But component-wise, through the roof. The one I compare it to is Scythe, as far as the quality. It's
Okay.
just like that
Yeah.
pop back factor where you're like, this is how games should be now. This is hopefully the best breakthrough in gaming is indented boards.
Yeah,
Right?
indented boards are really nice.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And having the raised boards when you have to slide cards underneath.
I did like that as well. Although obviously when it was like I remember I know once again I don't blame the game at all for it. It was annoying like the first time it warped or so, and it's like I want to slide it here, and it just kept pushing on through down because it was lifted off the edge. My complaint number 3,
Oh wow.
yeah,
Just gonna-
is
We're gonna-
you are spoiled.
Should I start
Yes.
making hash marks?
yeah,
One,
sure,
two,
that's fine.
3. All right.
and this is for the Kickstarter money, the metal money.
Uh-huh.
The number one, the one
Singles?
the singles are fine, but the 5 and 10, and I couldn't really figure out why I didn't like them until I was actually playing with you this last time, Jeff. Is you're like the number 1 is like the 1 value ones are tarnished in a bit, whereas the 5 and 10 look too shiny.
They're
and,
like super shiny.
and then they just make it look like cheap plastic ones.
yeah.
Even
and-
though they're nice metal.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, for me, they're not hefty enough to make. So I just keep thinking. Well, I don't actually think it, but I just keep making me feel like they're plastic, heavier plastic. But it's just for metal coins. I don't know. Just they turned me off on
Yeah.
it. I would actually rather play with the cardboard ones.
Which,
than those
since
metal
the metal coins, like, you can't get them now.
Yeah.
Like
No.
so
ones. Yeah,
that's
I know.
more or less irrelevant. Not to completely refute your thing,
You
but
just- sounds like
it.
trying to do.
You got shut down.
but I mean, for anybody who's not
I'm just
playing
saying,
on
yes.
on one of the
I ju-
copies who have the metal coins.
I understand that. I'm just for people who have the Kickstarter ones. How about that?
So you're
yeah.
reviewing it for people who already have it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of games that I'm sure people have already had. So
So you're at the point now where you're criticizing metal coins.
no, not all metal coins, just these metal coins.
Yeah.
Complaint number 4.
4.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure this is just a personal one, but I'm okay.
So far, they all have been.
yeah,
Yeah, they all have it.
I'm fine with that. Is that I understand the aesthetic that the board was going for, but it is way too much blue
Now,
on there.
I kind of agree with that. And
It
that's-
looks like they ran out of a color when they were printing on it.
Just
but
like,
it makes
oops.
thematically sense. I get that.
Yes.
So Jeff, do you have any like? I mean, do you guys have more on it? Like,
So I love this color blue, and
Yeah.
so this board can't be blue enough to me.
yeah, I think this board is easily one of the most beautiful boards that I've ever seen. I love this. So
It
that-
just
But-
feels like it's missing a color.
I can understand why people would think like, man, that's a lot of blue. Why is it that color? But I mean,
Yeah.
like, culturally, that's what.
Yes.
and that's why I have this here, because this is addressed literally on page.
Yes.
Well, I guess it's all the way at 5.
But my complaint with it too is again the color blindness, where it tends to look like a blob to me at times.
Gotcha.
Because so that is totally personal, where it just the blue. Blue is the hardest color for me, and it's so yeah.
So a game that's all blue.
all
could be
blue.
problematic.
But you know, after playing it, doesn't bother me. It's
No.
a single bit.
Which, so totally valid complaint. Here is what they say. This is actually, I'm going to be reading
it's fine,
from
yeah.
the rulebook here, just for people who are on the fence. Game art, the Portuguese Azuleo, and the wigs, which I'm going to cut it off before the wigs, but I'll come back to those. All the art Ian O'Toole created for Lisboa is based on murals of glazed Portuguese tiles, as the art form had evolved by the 17th century. Even today, you can find these murals not only in many palaces, churches, and noble houses, but also in the middle-class homes. Mass production of these tiles began in the 18th century, partly due to increased demand in Portugal, but also from large orders that started coming in from the Portuguese colony, Brazil. After the earthquake, they became trendy and often depicted historical situations framed by decorative patterns, all of this done predominantly in blue and white. The Portuguese name for these tiles is Azulejos Portugueses. In this game, the game board, the player boards, and cards all give homage to this art, which for many people epitomizes the look of Portugal. So, not to necessarily say that you're wrong, Zach.
No,
and I don't think you are wrong. Like, entirely, a lot of this, or you, Kyle, like, you're actually colorblind. It
Right.
affects your ability to play the game.
It doesn't actually. It just was the first time I saw it. It was like,
What?
but after playing it, it's,
Very, very Tina of you.
I don't notice it anymore.
But it was a very intentional design choice.
I know. And like I said, I understand that that's what they were going for.
Right.
Just for me, there's a contrast that's missing for me.
Yeah, and the only reason I really want to point out that it was intentional design choices because there are some games you play where it's like, dude, hire a graphic designer, please.
Yes.
Whereas this was like a very well-known, awesome artist, Ian O'Toole, working to very much match the cultural significance of that style of art.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
But as a designer, what they were going for came through because we talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
what they want.
Yeah.
People walk by that board and they stop. The size is for one reason, but the color too.
yeah, this game takes up a lot of space.
People are like,
Speaking of
what are you
components,
playing?
it takes up a bunch of space. Otherwise, all the other components I think are really solid. The public buildings, the shops, all of those pieces are thick, heavy cardboard that's solid. There's a ton of variability from the components, like the cards for the decrees. There's a ton of them. There are a bunch of different public houses that are varying mixes of colors that come out. The clergy tiles, there's a huge amount of those that you
Colossal.
you only ever have 6 on the board at a time, but as they get used up, you have a huge bag. You're never going to see all of the possible combinations. One thing that's kind of weird in this game, component-wise, is the scoreboard runs around the outside of the board, except for along the right-hand side of the board, where it just jumps like this huge 10-point section. I understand why they did it, because like you set some of the components off the board and they come onto the board right there.
Yeah, from 38 to 39, there's basically that whole right side of the scoreboard doesn't exist.
Makes it look like you're
It can make it feel like somebody's
yeah.
score is way further ahead than it. It's like, oh man, you're like on the other. You're already 2 corners around the board. Oh wait, that's like 5 points.
That's
like
5-point difference.
But yeah, component wise, this is one of my top ones of the year. The components are all fantastic. I love the artwork. Blue's my favorite color, so throw blue on fucking everything.
Blue's one of my favorite colors, but it's still.
I think component-wise, it's my second favorite component game behind Scythe, which
This
doesn't have miniatures.
I mean, I just ordered some new Scythe coins today, so
Jeez, Jeff.
the Red Russian just came out with some new 5s, so I was like, yeah, I play $7 for those.
Nice.
Anyway, sticking to Lisboa, is there anything else anybody wants to touch on for components or art before we move on? All right, well, since nobody has anything else about components, let's move on to rules and rules explanation. So I'm going to get this out of the way and say, because this will come up in the BGG posts.
Yes, it will.
If you are learning the game, make sure and read like a lot of the like side boxes and things in the rules. Like that thing I read earlier about the color and the art. There's little boxes like that scattered throughout the rules that help explain a lot of the why things are happening. Jeff, do you want to open that?
Can I say rules real quick? While you're talking about that.
Yeah. Little boxes like that explain a lot of the why things are happening, which lend much needed context I've learned.
Is it these brown ones?
Yeah, like some of the little brown boxes, or like even some of like the blue or purple, and then even under certain headers, there's italicized things that explain a little bit of the cultural things that were going on in Portugal at the time that feed into what you're doing. Like even something like, why are wigs points, is answered very, very clearly in the rule books. But if you don't know anything, if you don't read that part of the rules, and if you don't know anything about Portugal in the 1700s, then you're not going to know why your points are called wigs. You'll be like,
thankfully, we're all experts.
why do we all have wig fetishes all of a sudden and want lots and lots of wigs?
These are very important.
But that being said, the rules are both simple and really complex.
Oh, yeah. The rule of the game is play a card, draw a card.
Yep.
That's your turn.
And that's what you do. It's everything in between.
You have a spreadsheet in between.
Yes.
Thankfully, they do include really fantastic, and we didn't talk about these during components because they fit well here, really fantastic player aids that are these little menu style things.
4-page book?
Yeah, flip-page book.
You could say them. You could call them really fantastic, or like, holy shit! Why does this game need a 4-page per player rule reference?
So I think a lot of that is the iconography.
Yes.
Especially because like a lot of the cards will say like this, it has an icon and it has number 55.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well, this is a clergy tile. Let's go to number 55. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is what this means. Eventually you get it, but it can definitely be intimidating as a new person.
Yes.
Just seeing all of these different icons.
Here's your own personal rules reference. We're all gonna have one.
But that's an awesome thing, I think, because there are a lot of games that have that kind of stuff. Everybody has to share the same rule book.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
moving
passing
around.
around the back like, oh, let me see what this scoring
What is
tile
this?
does.
In like Seven Wonders has that, some stuff like that. where
Yes.
This one, hey, here's everything.
And to be fair, of the like
Daunting.
of the 4-page player aids, like 2 of those pages are just a list of all of the clergy tiles that are in the game, which there's a lot,
A ton.
and all of the decree cards, which again, there's a lot. Like you're not going to see all of the clergy or all of the decree cards in any one game, and
Much
depending
less
on
probably
I haven't seen them
5
all.
or 6
and
games.
depending on how well you shuffle, you might play 10 games and still not see all of them. So I appreciate that they have that right there. So again, you're like you said, Kyle, you're not handing the rule book around in a big
I love
circle.
that. I think that's awesome.
I think the player aids do a really good job of running through your turn. Like, hey, you're going to play a card. Where you play it, whether you play it on the bottom of your player board, the top of your player board, or out into the main board, determines what you do. So when you play it here, here's the things you do. When you play it there, there's the things you do. Like they help a ton. That being said, this is a game where a lot is happening.
It's a heavy, heavy game.
Yeah. I mean, like right now it's rated like a 4.37 out of 5.
Is
on
it the
BGG.
heaviest of the ones that you've played of his so far?
I think for me it feels the heaviest in a lot of ways. Kanban might be more, but I think Kanban's board is even in some ways less intuitive at times than Lisboa's.
I think that's a product of the time a little bit too.
Yes,
So
I would love to see Kanban redone with Eagle Griffin Games components and Eno Tools art. It won't happen because Stronghold won't give it up, but I can dream.
This was the heaviest one I played. That wasn't a war game. I've played, Here I Stand, Virgin Queen, the coin games. Those are heavier, but of a Euro, that's the heaviest Euro I played.
It might be one of the heaviest games in my collection, according to BGG. Like I said, I don't necessarily know if I think that's accurate. Like I think, obviously, like I think both Indonesian Food Chain are certainly heavier. Tramways is arguably heavier, and I could say that like even like the 2010 Vinos, I could argue that's heavier than Lisboa.
Yeah, I haven't played any of those.
Of actual weight rated on BGG, Lisboa is just a bit heavier, 4.39 versus Kanban's 4.3.
Yeah.
So
But
Lisboa
you could
is his
tell that
heaviest rated
900th
game.
of a tenth. You could
Yes.
say, oh, that was 900th of a tenth easier.
Yes.
Which makes sense because I do think that Lisboa and Kanban are his 2 densest, most, especially from like a teaching perspective. Like they're hard games to teach.
But all of them sit like over 4.
Oh yeah, yeah. Vital does well until recently. He's got some lighter games coming out because he has a kid and he's making games for his kid, which I appreciate. But most of his games that he's known
not happy
for
with that.
are 4s and above. They're heavy games. He's a heavy game designer.
Yeah, and you're for your group, who's your teachers?
It depends entirely on the game.
yeah,
So
I don't think I remember the last time Jeff taught a game. It's mostly Zach and I.
yeah.
So for me, for our group, I'm a teacher. This is the hardest game to teach. For a person who starts their first turn and understands it.
So I will say that even when Adrian teaches us a game, I'll still like go watch a rules breakdown or something like that. Just
Yes.
so
Well, especially because usually if I'm teaching a game, it's a heavy game. So I'll be
Yeah.
like, hey, go watch a
Yes.
rules video so you have an idea what to do.
So we played this on the spur of the moment the first time we played it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you what the hell we were doing, but I loved it. And then I went and watched it. I don't own the game, but I can teach it because I've watched so many videos and read the rule book so much.
Yeah.
Because you have to prepare to enjoy
Yeah.
this game.
That's one of the things where I feel like I did a disservice. We'll talk a little bit later about Paul's experiences with this game. I think I did a huge disservice to him. I had played the prototype with Edward, and I loved it. Like Edward did a great job teaching it. Like he had printed off extra player stuff. He had notes. Like, he was really ready to teach the game, and he'd played it a few times, so he was experienced and did a really good job teaching it. And then I got my copy, and I was like, hey, let's show up an hour or two early to game night and play it at game night. Well,
After you told me never to do that on my Facebook page.
yeah. Well, and then starting an hour or so early turned into starting like 20 minutes early, and then we ended up like where we were playing was right in the middle of game night, and I didn't do enough research. Like, I thought I remembered enough from when I'd played it to set it up, but then I got there and started putting it together. I was like, wait, let me see the rule book. Where's this go? Where's this go? What's this do? So then setup took a long time, and then I was in no way, shape, or form prepared to teach. And that's why I made sure and preface at the beginning of this section talking about, like, it's important to know this rule book and read some of that extra flavor text so that you can relate what you're doing to why you would be doing that.
Yes.
Because I think that makes a huge difference in how you approach the game and how much that theme of rebuilding Lisboa following earthquake, tsunami, fire to the actions you're actually taking, so that the theme connects to what you're doing.
So this is also the game that dispels global warming, because they had a really shitty time back then. So
Yep. Earthquakes.
the world's always sucked.
Earthquakes definitely caused by global climate change.
It's true. It's because of fracking.
Yes. Those Portuguese fracking in the
They were fracking.
1700s.
It was
Yeah.
fracking Portuguese.
I'm trying really hard not to go off on a climate change and the effect on seismology tangent, but any other final thoughts on rules explanation? Jeff, I didn't get to teach you your first game. How did your first game of learning Lisboa go?
Who taught you?
Zach and Paul.
Okay.
I had watched a lengthy rules video beforehand, and I was still basically lost on everything I could do in this game.
I think one problem with this one, so to speak, is that I feel like you were a little bit more guided in what you want to do in the beginning in Vinyos or Gallerist, whereas I know Jeff was literally like we're like, all right, Jeff, it's your turn. He's like, well, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I know what things I can do, but I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start.
do I build
off.
a ship? Do I put dudes out? Do I
Yes.
I can't build buildings because I don't have money. How do I get money? What's the best way to get money? This church guy can get me things. Let me look through this fucking player aid and be like, which one of the churchy things do I want? And yeah, for like someone that hasn't ever played to know what the hell to do on like a first like action.
The first time I played it, it was spur of the moment. It was at Genghis Khan, and I had no idea what it was. And I got pretty good gamer sense, I think, where I can figure, you start seeing mechanics. I design games, so I can start seeing mechanics. At the end of that game, I was still asking, how do I do this? And but I loved it. It's weird. It's like, I had no idea what I was doing, but I loved it. And then going back and reading, I'm like, oh my God, I get this. I need to play it again and again and again.
And I do have to say, I did very well in my first play.
I have seen first players in this do well. Yeah. I don't know why. I think maybe because it's so open, you try new strategies. And
You just try something and it works.
I put a lot of buildings in that like building area, and it just so happened I got a bunch of points.
Points are good.
I heard points are good. I don't usually get points, but this time.
One of the things, so speaking like what you were saying, Zach, where like it's hard to know what to do right out the gate. I'm not sure whether or not this is in the base set. It's not listed in the components, but I know my copy has
the A and B
like beginner cards that are like they're like goals. But they're supposed to give you a little bit like to go on early.
Yeah.
Because this is a game where there's not really a wrong opening move. Like, it's not like Food Chain where you're going to do something at the beginning and then you're going to lose because of your first action. Like, but
we definitely did not play with those any of the times.
Right.
And
nobody's played with them. But I'd like to try that, especially the next time if I end up playing with another new player. Like, I know Wes has expressed interest in playing. If I play with Wes, I'd like to maybe give him those, because they talk about, especially if you're playing with experienced players and a new player, let the new player use these. Because they, one, give you a bonus for achieving these short-term goals, but they also give you that direction early on. Like, hey,
it's almost like a tutorial.
I should work for some decrees. I should work for some public houses. I should work for building shops. Things like that.
That sounds useful.
Yes.
It is victory point salady at times, where it's not like a Feld where everything gives you points, but there's not, you got to do this, then you got to do this. You can go do your own thing.
Points come from a lot of places.
Yes, they come from a lot of places, so it's not a...
And then decrease.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you get a point, you get points when you have a store and a public building out at the same time. but it doesn't matter if you put one of them out first or the
Right.
other in terms of getting those points.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Which, before we go too far down this path, because I can already sense it, let's
Yeah.
officially change over to talking about gameplay. Because we've shifted from the rules to the gameplay. And yes, there is a lot to do in this game.
Yes.
It sounds simple. Play a card, do an action, draw a card.
So there's 3 state actions
Correct.
and then 6
there are 3 noble actions.
3 noble actions and 6 state actions. All of which do an extreme variety of different things in this game.
Yeah. Well, and then also selling goods too, and also just taking 1 money.
Yeah.
Which I've never seen anybody do. If you're
When I was
taking
was
money-
looking up the rules
Wait,
today, and I was literally just like, "That's an action you can take," and
Yes.
it's like literally.
I don't think I've ever taught it.
It's literally if you can't do anything at all, you just take a good, get rid of a card. That's all it is.
take a
No,
money.
take
to
a
get rid
money.
of a card.
That's what I meant. What did I say?
You said it good.
Good.
money.
That would even
That's what I meant.
money. A good would
Is it
not
just-
be
It's
horrible.
just 1 money?
1 money.
Yes.
Yeah, it is the
Never teach that rule to anyone in
No,
this game.
I've never taught
Don't-
that rule.
Don't even let people know that that's an option.
Yeah.
We did.
It should say.
We just did.
It
Yeah.
should say in the rules, like, if you do this, you're playing wrong.
You get up and leave. It's over.
I'm playing slow and steady.
Yeah. Every turn, discard a card, take a money.
What, you get 1 point for every 5 money at the end of the game? I'm gonna start stockpiling money.
Every turn, just 1/5 of a point, please. Thank you.
Yes. But what we were talking about before, it's like what's like a good first move in this game? There's just so like it's like 3 noble actions, 6 state actions, and put a card in your tableau, I guess, and then
And do whatever is on the card. The part where you slide it in, you get that bonus.
yeah.
And then you get to do 2 of the state actions because it depends on what you do. Like, so basically,
But you have to pay for the state actions with goods.
Yeah.
You don't just get to do them.
right? Well, depending on the where you play your card. So
Yes.
essentially, you have your card, and you've decided I'm going to play this card right here that I'm waving, where you can all see it. So you can.
I think you have
You
cameras.
are going to
and
be
you just haven't
waving
told
it.
me.
Yeah.
Literally, just be like, "All right, guys, this is what I'm doing."
Just flash that shit in the air.
So you slide that card. You can put that card into your player board area. You can slide it in the top or the bottom, depending on which type of card it is. And then you get the bonus that's on the card. You know, if it's one of the ones that goes on the bottom, like I don't know, some of them do. You get treasury money, and then the treasury moves. Then, or if you put it on the top, you just get whatever bonus is marked on it. But at that point, you are then allowed to take 2 of the 8 state actions. You can't take the same one.
6.
6 state actions. Yep. Jeff said 8 earlier, and I got confused.
I don't remember saying 8 at any point.
Oh, I don't know. 6.
It was 8 for the noble, or not the nobles, the state.
yes. There's no 8.
The
no point.
meeples. You have 8 meeples.
Yeah, state officials.
State officials.
Oh.
That's what I was
You guys are
referencing.
horrible at remembering names.
I didn't even know they were called state officials.
Which
Yeah.
and this is part of the problem with this game that I talked about a little bit in the rules explanation, associating what things are to what you're doing.
Agree.
I know what you do. I just don't know what they're called.
Yeah. So you if you play the card into your player area, you get the bonus on the card, whether it's one that you play on the bottom of your player board or one on the top. And then you have the ability to pay a good to do 2 of the 6 possible state actions. You can't take the same action, and then each state action is like controlled vaguely by one of the 3 nobles.
And that's a good per state action, by the way. Not
Yes.
Yes.
So if you do 2 state actions, you're paying 2 goods.
Yes.
And which good depends on which noble controls that state action. So you're doing things like building a ship or getting goods, you know, or any of the other 4 that I'm not gonna go into all of them right now because I'm
There's a
not
lot.
trying to teach you the game. There's 6 of them.
I already named them in my rules breakdown, so
Yes,
they can just go back
exactly.
to that.
Yep. Just rewind.
So that's what happens if you play it to your player board, or you play it to the main area, in which case all of a sudden it depends. What card are you playing? Are you playing one of the 3 nobles, or are you playing a treasury card? And then it just kind of spirals from there. Like then when you bring in following, like
Yes.
oh, I'm playing the marquee, and then you know, okay, everybody's all of a sudden like, oh, I have a follow, I have a follow, I have a follow, and then 20 minutes later, hey, next player, it's your
Yes.
turn. Because we've all basically done a full turn on Adrian's turn.
Following is very important in this game.
Yeah.
Following's huge.
Which, for a heavy Euro, having that player interaction is pretty big, where you paying attention to other people's moves.
And that's one of the things that that does help. It helps keep you aware of what other people are doing. I mean, there's still some times where I'm playing and like I'll do an action, and then everybody else, like Zach and Jeff, will be like, I follow, and I'm like, wait, when did you get those? Like, I thought I checked like last turn, and you didn't have those tiles. How did you do that?
They cheat.
Or Zach's turn, he'll be like, hey, I'm going to ship goods, and I'm going to ship 2 on my ship, and 1 on yours, and 1 on Jeff's. I'm like, wait, when did you get 4 new goods? Like, what happened here? Like, so I still, like, even still with how much this game relies on that, it's still sometimes easy to lose track of what other people are doing.
Well, and especially when, and I know this happened multiple times during our games, is like it has when you put a guy on the, when you're visiting a noble, you're supposed to put your guy on there to be like, all right, I'm the one that's doing this, and then when you follow, like they're supposed to put their meeple onto there because that's all those guys are used for.
Yep.
And there are a couple times where you'd forget to do it, and because that's all it's there for, and then it would be like, it's like, oh, it was my turn, and then Adrian decided to follow, and then Jeff decided not to or whatever, but because Adrian's took a while because it was building or whatever, it's just like, all right, Jeff, it's your turn now, and then it'd be like, no, because I was the one that did that. So I had to draw my card, and so some of the turns can feel very, like you're saying, very bloated, and you sort of can lose the pace.
Yeah, we've all done a turn in one person's turn.
Yep.
And kind of moving, like, it makes it feel slower than it a lot of times is, because then, in the middle of one of those situations, it'll be like, oh, and now I have 6 rubble tiles, and so the first phase is going to end.
Well,
in the middle
especially if it's it's an official or it's a noble that you don't have the royal tile for or the royal favor for, so it's like, because I know there are a lot of times when Adrian, you'd be like, on your turn,
oh man, that one play was brutal.
Me and Paul would be like, oh, you're doing that, we're both going to follow, and then Paul would do something.
And then you would follow, and I'd be like, I can't follow.
And then I would do something, and then Paul would follow, and you're just like, oh my God, what is going on?
You guys are doing twice as many actions as me,
Yes.
at least.
Yeah.
Following is hugely important. Maintaining favor with the nobles is hugely important. Which
I think that's what you just didn't realize that.
And it's something I did much better
yes.
on in the more recent plays. Constantly being like, I need to have, like, oh, I've used this tile, like my favor. I need to get that favor back as soon as I can.
I'm a little bit bummed that you can only have one favor per guy, because I
stockpile them.
Yeah, I like the idea of we ran out of favors for the king. Sorry.
The king's only got so many favors.
Yeah, he's got 3, and I happen to have 2, and Jeff has 1. Sorry, Adrian.
See, and that's where like I agree. I can see where you're going with that, and I don't think you're wrong. But I think, again, this is where thematically, when you try and really tie things to the theme, the king is like, Zach, I owe you a favor. Jeff, I owe you a favor. And it's not like, Zach, I owe you 2 favors.
Why not?
Because he's the king. He's busy. He can't keep track of how many favors he owes you.
I saved his one kid, then I saved the other kid. That's 2 favors.
No, now he's like, I just owe you one really big favor.
Yeah, it's just one
Kings
favor.
don't
still.
think in terms of
You can only help
numbers.
him move once, and that's it.
I can help him move back.
That's true. So, my favorite thing about the gameplay is how much freedom you have. So there's so many heavy games that try to siphon you down a road. It's punishing. This is like, you can't really screw up my move. You can if you kind of went where I wanted to go to build. But generally, I'm going to be able to plan it out in advance and do what I was planning on doing. So I kind of like that, where as big as this game is, it still has a lot of freedom, which it seems sometimes bigger games have less freedom, it seems.
Yeah, that's the only time I really feel any, like, and this I know, Zach, is an issue you don't think there's enough player conflict. One of the only areas in this heavy game that I feel conflict is like, I spy out like, oh man, there's this really good spot. If I build a shop here, I'm going to score this, and I'm going to get this bonus, and it's going to be great. And then Zach does it the turn before.
But I like that because everybody can see it. It's like,
everybody sees that.
It's not only exclusive to you, but like, everyone can get those points.
Yeah, but the fact that Zach goes and builds in that spot,
right?
Doesn't preclude me on my turn from still building in a slightly less optimal spot.
Right. For me, I think the only way I get true like player you can actually stop somebody doing it is if somebody follows you when you're building, because it's the 4 different colors. When you take off the is it cloths or silks or whatever. You take that one. Nobody else on your while your turn's being finished by people following you, they can't build that silk anymore.
Yeah.
So I know there are at least a couple times where it's like you're in that you're that third or fourth person, and you're like, oh, okay, they took the pink, that's okay. As long as they don't,
I wanna
they
do
took the
pink or
brown. You
gold.
sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Now I can't score any points. Like I did like that part, and especially I know when I really pissed you off one time, I was
man.
just like,
It broke my brain. Like I had,
But it's also a thing where you don't score points right now. You could still build it and then build the public buildings and score those points
Yes.
later. So,
But then you have that you have to weigh between building the public now and that leaves it open for someone else
Yeah.
to take it, or you build the store now and then someone takes the public one. So either way, you're setting yourself up to someone to be like, oh, this one's really good for you. Well, I'm going to do it slightly, I want to build one, so I'm going to take the one that you want
Right.
because that's the only one available. To put it up here, it'll help a little bit. Like one of the time Jeff took, it was like the blue/brown one, and he moved it all the way to the top of the purple or whatever, or the pink, and it was like it literally couldn't score any points.
Yeah, it does
It was
nothing in
literally
that
just
section.
I need nope, you guys don't get that.
Yep.
Sorry.
but is this your general complaint against Euros or this game in general?
It's my general complaint with his games is that I don't. For me, there's not for what I like in Euros. I just don't get enough player negative interaction. It always feels like road bumps, like the state officials. When you're following someone, you have to pay influence,
Right.
and it's like if there's more there, you have to pay more influence. It's like okay, yeah, just like I have to pay some, so I have to make. But I like it a lot more when it's just like instead of road bumps where you have to just slow down in order to do it. It's like you're trying to go there. I put a detour in front of you. Like no, you can't go here anymore. You have to go figure out something else to do.
But that's kind of the Euro thing.
Exactly. So
well, so you like more of the to compared to another game.
Yeah.
You like more like Agricola. Like I went here, no one else can do this. I fully blocked.
I don't like Agricola, but yes,
That style,
Yes, that's
yes.
that style of it. Yeah. Whereas one of the previous games that they're still boggled that I like Yokohama is like unless you have the specific card that lets you do it. Whenever I have my president in one spot, it's like no matter you guys can go through here. It's going to cost you stuff, so that's a little bit of that road bump. But you guys can't go here no matter what.
Right.
So especially when you played 4 players, there was a lot of times where it's just like everybody's where I want to go. I have to figure out something. So and I think a lot of it is that, and I think Adrian is still doubts me in the fact that I'm not a long-term planner in games. So
I do still doubt you.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. It's a lie.
So that's why I like
Misdirection. Fake news.
Yeah. I like the ones where it's just okay. I can't do this. I have to figure out something else to do because I'm very more tactical versus strategic. That's why I don't like the ones where it's just I'm doing my own thing and you guys can't really stop me. You can just slow it down. It just makes it feel it's more boring for me in that respect. So
Oh, I get it. I was just,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to see if that's a game critique or a genre critique.
it's not. It's just this style of
It's a subsect of
Yes,
that
of-
genre. Like heavy Euros tend
It's
to
like
fall
a-
in one or the
It's
two.
a hard worker placement versus soft worker placement sort of thing. It's like I decided I didn't
That's
like it in Gallerist. So yeah.
Yeah, especially because like Gallerist is one where like you don't ever block somebody. Like you
Exactly.
being there just means that like if somebody else does that, you get to do it again. Which is similar to the follow mechanic
Yes.
in this. We're like, oh, you did this thing. Well, now I'm going to tag along.
I mean, I do like the fact that you have to be able to have that specific tile, so you can. There are times where like this may not be my best move, but I know.
Neither of you. I did
Yeah.
that a couple
Yeah.
times for sure.
You just like being mean.
Yes, I do. Yeah, that's why I like.
Zach likes player interaction.
Yes.
Yes. Player in action / mean.
Yeah. I don't know. Jeff, what did you think? You've been kind of quiet through the gameplay. What did you think through your couple plays of this?
There's a shitload of things to do in this game.
There is.
And it's like what Kyle said, that you can kind of have your own 3-hour tour of Lisboa. During my first play, I was still constantly like, what's this again? And what's this mean? And how does this work? And when does phase 1 end? And when does the game end? And why are these random? Oh, this is an optional rule. And this one is 3. No, wait, it's 2 because I have this thing. And it's a lot of rules piled on rules, piled on rules, piled on a lot of mechanics that don't interact as much as they should. Like some some parts of it do interact pretty well together, like your action phases and things like that. But then there's like the cardinal that's sort of just kind of hanging out by himself.
Like the first game we played, like the tiles that were around were all shitty. All the clergy tiles, like we moved him like twice the entire time. That was about it.
Yeah.
But I think they help. So from a gamer designer, it helps tactics. Those
Yeah. Like,
they guide you towards something.
yes.
They're like, I don't. In fact, I've heard people say that you should get one of those at the beginning of the game. I'm sorry, no, I'm talking about the decree.
The decrees, yeah. No, the decrees I could see going for early.
Yeah.
The rules strongly advise early building shops, like building a bunch of shops.
And that's
early.
what I did in my game, my first game, and
Yeah.
I won.
Yeah.
because of that. Because I was fucking destroying, and then all my shops, I went full production, and then I was just fucking producing, and it was like before the first age ended, and I had like full bonus production, which was crazy go nuts university.
Yeah, because then you can ship on anybody else's ships, and if nobody's building ships, then something's wrong.
Yeah.
And there was
somebody
two
should
ships
be
out.
building
Yeah, there were ships.
Especially because ship's cargo hold is points at the end of the game. Like, so
I mean, yeah, a couple, but yeah.
if you are constantly upgrading your ship or building multiple ships, then you end up with, I mean, it's not inconceivable. You could have 6 points in hull size, which isn't insubstantial.
I think we had
A
like
game that ends in the 120 pluses sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, most scores are within 10 to 15 of each other.
so. How does 6 points factor into 10 to 15?
So then it means that you're...
Sorry.
What a dick.
That was a dick. I'm sorry.
Well, no, because
I
it's. I mean, that's 50% of the point difference. Like, so then you make it up a little bit more somewhere else. Like, that's one area to make up a point difference. I don't know.
I do have
Not
to say
to
that
mention, if you have the ship and people are shipping
Yes.
through your ships,
That's-
you're getting constant points throughout the game.
That's what I wanted
Okay.
you to say. You were just like, yeah, you get all these points at the end of the game. I'm like, maybe you get 4. Like,
it's the like point a turn or 2
Yes.
or 3.
yes, that's if you build for ships, then that's when you're like, you want to get that production going so you can ship more. But then I do find it interesting that production, it's just price always goes down.
Just constantly going down.
Never goes up, always down. And I
Always.
understand why, because as you produce more goods, they're more readily
That's
available now.
Yeah, but I mean, but then you sell all the goods, so then
They should go back up.
yeah.
And then it's just
It's cool because it's for me. It's different. It's a lot of games have that little stock market thing, and this one doesn't. So it's kind of cool. It encourages you to sell early. So
But then it also get like you can get a lot of goods
Without producing.
but what I mean is that like you can get a lot of good if you have a lot of storage, you can produce and get a lot of goods really quick. But if you do that, you're hurting yourself long term from losing money overall.
Yeah, unless you do like you did in the most recent game,
Yeah.
where you go for decrees that are like, oh, have the most silk, have the
Yep.
most tools.
Yeah. I had that, and so then I was like, I don't give a shit about selling this stuff anymore. I had like 4 or 5 of 3 different types because I was like, I need the most of this and the most of this and the most of this stuff.
And then I get 1
Hot
point for
points.
every one of these that
Yes.
I have. Yeah. Decrees are huge.
It's hard to keep track of all of them. There's a ton of them, and they can be crazy varied. And I think the last game we played, almost the entire decree board was just constantly full of like, have the most buildings in A, have equal to or
Yeah.
greater than the most buildings in C,
which is not the
and-
number 4.
No.
We've had people think, what does 4 mean? I have to have 4 Bs?
And so our last game went like heavy shop building because all the decrees just had constant, like, that's all they were, almost the whole game.
Yeah. Which is where like that blocking that Zach was talking about. I bought a card fairly early that was like, get 2 points for every shop that you own in row D, and then also if you have the most or equal in D, you get 6 points. And
Those
so
are supposed to be
Zach-
face up, by the way.
Oh, they're supposed to stay face up.
Yeah.
But so he,
Luckily, I remembered that, so I was just like,
and super blocked me.
yeah,
You're so mean.
yeah.
It's such a tight game that I couldn't imagine doing stuff.
No, I mean,
that
it's-
wouldn't
Well,
benefit me.
it was one of those things.
I have this knack of being able to do what I need to do, and what
block.
I need to do fucks Adrian over.
Oh,
It's
that's-
so hard.
Which is why I refuse to believe that he doesn't long-term plan for these things.
And
It's
I-
not like I need to make sure I'm in a position late game to need to do exactly what Adrian wants to do.
No, what I was saying is that it's like I have like a sixth sense that like I see the board and I see this glowing spot and that's stuff. Fuck over Adrian wall.
That position looks a lot like that scene in Pulp Fiction.
It was his soul.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot going on in this game. No doubt about it.
Yeah, that's review over.
This game is
a
a
lot.
lot.
This game is
How would you define it? A lot.
I don't know. I like, aside from going more in depth on every specific mechanic in the game, I
haven't
don't
even
think I have
touched
a lot
on,
more
like-
to talk about gameplay.
influence and
I'll tell you the one thing. There is so every game that we played, which is like 6, the person who won at every game is the person who happened to win the 15-pointer, where it goes 15, 10, 5 for most.
State officials.
most public
Plans.
planners.
Most state officials sent to work in public buildings
Yes.
is what it's technically representing.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's just really random that we've all whoever.
I
mean, 15
wish
points?
that-
haven't paid attention enough to notice that the same person who wins that wins the game. But
I
the
think
most
that-
recent game,
yeah.
I won that, and I
Yeah.
won the game.
You were 12 points ahead of me.
Yeah.
And 10 of that 12 points came from that because I got the third place and you got the first place on that one.
Yeah.
I think that one is definitely one that you need to let new people know about.
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like building public buildings is important.
That's one thing I want. I sort of annoyed about. That's one thing that I'm sort of annoyed about because on the player board it technically shows. Oh, like end of game, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
But it doesn't let people know the importance of some of those.
Yeah.
And that is, obviously that's something that the rule teacher has to express onto you. And because there's so many rules, it's something that could slip by until
Yeah.
you go like, oh, like because I didn't happen to focus on plans because I was doing other things and I was keeping up with you, but because of that, I lose out on.
Well, and I think that's where just the theme in general should, like, the rule teacher should emphasize this, but the theme itself, like, you're rebuilding Lisboa after this disaster. If you're not rebuilding Lisboa in either public buildings or shops, you're not going to do well.
Well, shops don't require state officials.
No, which...
I know.
But the shops also have the chance to score in 3 different areas.
Based on the public.
So if somebody else is doing a lot of public buildings, if
Yeah.
you're building the right shops, you should be building.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, like that's right on the board of here's 9, 6, and 3. Here's 3, 2, 1.
Well, not even that part of it. I'm talking about like when you have a shop here. If there's a public building in the north, east, or west,
Yeah.
you get that points for each one that matches. So conceivably, the lowest point value of those is 3. So if you have a shop that scores on north, south, and west, or east, north, and west, then you've scored 3 points 3 times. So you scored 9 points. And so if you do that for a couple shops, then who cares if somebody else, as long as you built one
Right.
public building, because you have to build at least one to get that third place spot, which is 5 versus 15. So it's a difference of 10. If you've had 1 or 2 good shop placements, it makes up that difference.
All I'm saying is that that's on the board.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is not.
Bill-
That's the only thing I'm trying to say is that you need to emphasize that because there's so much on the board that they could miss that.
Oh, you can miss a lot. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot, yeah.
Now, have you played this 2-player?
I haven't. I really wanted to play this morning with Megan, but she's been so busy prepping for Bali that I did not get a chance to.
I'm just curious how I know you take out what column E,
You
the
just
bottom,
take out
the
column
bottom
E.
row.
and that's
then,
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's
Oh.
also 15 and then 5 wigs.
So you take
10
out
is in there.
And then the other thing that you do when you play a 2-player game is you pull one of the third colors that you're not playing with, and you put one of theirs in each of the spots for state officials. So you're always
so
going
it's
to have
always
to pay
paid.
at least one.
Yeah, we haven't got. Yeah, we actually don't own this one. Shockingly, as much as I love it, and it is definitely the best game that I've played that I don't own.
It is pretty awesome.
You know, it's only because everybody else owns it, so
Yeah.
You don't have to.
I'm buying his other stuff.
If you want a copy, I know where you might be able to get one shortly. I'll tell you after we're done reviewing.
Oh,
not
surprise.
my own. And not the winning a copy.
I am stealing that one. That's what's happening, I think.
You can hit him on the head. I won't care. I won't tell.
I didn't see nothing.
Yeah.
Paul,
'Cause I know that,
Paul is probably going to want to sell his copy.
No. He said he was going to still keep it for a collection.
What?
Yeah, I asked him about it. So
Never mind.
yeah, yeah. Adrian, what do you know about getting rid of games? So
I didn't think Paul was nearly as bad as I was about
We're so
keeping a stranglehold on
bad, too.
games.
He owns Set and doesn't like Set. I also played Set.
But he wants to collect a set.
Oh my god. Yeah. All right, so I think that's everything. Components, rules, gameplay. Final thoughts now.
no, I mean, so I still have opinions, but those will come up later when
I've got
relevant BGG related things.
We've got some hardcore hash marks to go through here.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, then let's move on to final thoughts. So let's just go around the table, starting with you, Zach.
You just want to start as a bummer?
Yeah, this is going to be a good layer. It's going to go bad, good, bad, good.
Yeah. No, I won't.
It's going to be like a double stacked Oreo where the frosting is also on the top and the middle.
We call this a compliment sandwich.
It's a weird sandwich.
It's not a sandwich.
But if like mayo was on like the
All right, well,
top of
yeah.
the sandwich,
All right. Well, you've convinced me to change it up. So, Kyle, how about you start? What do you think of Lisboa?
I love it. It's in my top 10. It is everything I want in a game as far as being deep, strategy. I've heard people complaining about the theme of this, that it's not there, and they're crazy. It's very thematic. It's one of the few games that's based on history. And then people are like, well, I don't feel like I'm doing that. And I'll ask them, what games do you feel like you're doing something? Like, oh, like Flashpoint. I'm like, you're not really putting out a fire. It's still using your imagination. So
So I shouldn't start fires while playing.
you can.
Okay.
You can. See, but then you're playing. Then I'll argue the theme is amazing.
now you're
So the theme comes through in this more than most Euros, and I am a Euro player, so I'm coming from that field. If this is, to me, really thematic. I love everything we can do in this game. I can go off in different strategies. Every time I play it, I can play different. I still haven't seen a tenth of all the tiles. I just love it. Can't wait to play his other stuff. Definitely.
loves it.
Loves it.
Zach?
Favorite game. Move on.
Yeah. Yeah. TI3, go fuck yourself. So I find it funny that I think I liked this one the most mechanically out of the ones that I've played.
Of VTOL games.
Of the VTOL games, obviously.
Of all games, this
all
is the best
games.
mechanically.
No, out of his games that I've played, that's what I said. But I still feel the most detached from the theme, at least comparatively. And I understand. I get what it's. I was even looking in here. I feel like I'm like building/rebuilding a city, but other than that, it doesn't come through to me. And obviously, I'm sure even if if they're Portuguese or anything like that, it'll like you'll have a better connection to it than me.
Or European.
Yeah,
in
or
general.
European or in
Yeah.
general. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about any of this before I played the game.
And I don't know. It's funny. Like, I think I had the same sort of problem as I did with Gallerist in the sense, for one thing, when you say like this has an insane amount of variability, for me, it's like a very soft variability, except for the decree cards, because those actually give you things to go towards, where it's like in Gallerist, where it's just like, oh, you have slightly different things to go for, but I still felt like I was playing the same game each time. I wasn't trying to do many things differently. I still keep doing basically the same things each time when I've been playing this. And every time I've played it so far, obviously it's been teaching people and stuff, but it always, like I was saying earlier, it was a lot of stop and go because you had to teach people how to do these things. And I get that, the ideal game you want to play is where everybody knows how to play the game and you just go through it. Like the second game we played, Adrian, when it was you, me, and Paul, and we just, it's like, oh, now we get this, and it ended up taking 2 hours. That one was like, that one went a lot faster, but then whenever you try and introduce a new person to the game or something, it feels like it slows down dramatically.
Yeah.
And
It does. It's
Yeah.
a hard game to teach.
yeah. And then, like I said, you always want to go for that ideal one, but just realistically, a lot of games you play with, you're going to have new people and stuff like that. And so...
God, yes, that's the truth.
Yeah. As reviewers, I don't.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how much we have to play new stuff.
Yeah. And then like, the components aside, it's still component wise a great thing, except for, but I understand that for the most part there are my problems with it, and it's a fine game. It continues to be it's a fine game. It's just not for me. I don't have any desire to play it, especially with the amount of time it plays. There are games I'd much rather want to play, and something with more player interaction, more whatever. But yeah, that's basically it.
Right on. Jeff?
I'm more siding with Zach on this one. As much as I love all of the components and everything in this game, some of the best components that I've ever seen outside of Scythe. Gameplay-wise, it didn't really catch me for a game that is this long, that I just don't need this game to be in my life.
This is sad.
Yeah. I just really need to work on myself right now.
So you're swiping left?
Yeah, it is a longer game. It does go much faster than you think it would, but I don't have a real big connection to the game. It's not like it really didn't hook me in any way. It's a fine game, and I love all the components about it. I just wish that there was more to it that hooked me. Maybe if this game had to do more with like terraforming, or there was like a lot of unique, like every card
What if it was on a different planet?
If it was like rebuilding like a city on Mars, and every card was unique.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm just saying, they're both card-driven games.
Every card is unique in this game. It's just not on Mars.
That's the reference I was going for.
There always has to be one.
Yeah. But yeah, I love a lot of things about this game, but I think the actual like playing part of it, unfortunately, is the weakest for
The
me.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, since that's what you do with it.
Yeah.
Well, because this is a compliment sandwich,
Yes.
and we've had the good, and then we had a couple bad. Now we're going to bring it back around with the good.
It's a compliment sandwich, like how you had that bread sandwich earlier, right?
Anyhow, I love this game, as I love all of Vital's games. Vital is easily my favorite designer. I think that I have to, at this point, even put him above Splatter. I like Splatter a lot. I like a lot of the games they do. But Vital's ability to connect a theme to mechanics and just put together a game that has a lot going on but isn't too overwhelming for me is amazing. I was a little bit more on the fence about this game until our play Sunday, which really brought it all home and tied the bow on why I liked it. I felt a lot more of what I got out of my first play of it in the play we had Sunday, where I finally did a better job of keeping in mind what I was doing in relation to both the gameplay and the theme. Like, if I was building a public building and I was using a plan, and the plan required 3 state official, or like not state official, or state officials, yeah.
State official.
Keeping in mind that like that represents those state officials going to work in that public building, and so then at the end of the game when you're scoring, like, hey, I was the job creator. I all these wigs that are on the back of these plans means I sent the most state officials to work. So I have the most people out working in the community who favor me. Like, that's why I get the 15 points and not the 5 points. Little things like that, like the idea that as I'm removing rubble, I'm then able to use that rubble to build storehouses and other things that aid in rebuilding, which is why I get more open spaces for, like, I can store more goods, I can have more people on my player board, things like that. Like, I just did a better job connecting the mechanics to the theme, and that made a big difference. I think that one of the faults of this game is the fact that this is kind of a niche theme, more so than even other ones of his. Like, somebody might say, like, oh, running an art gallery, that's really niche. Running a vineyard, that's really niche. It's not nearly as niche as rebuilding Lisboa following a natural disaster in the 1700s. That's very specific, and it takes it more out of something that's more relevant to people's lives. Like, people nowadays go to art galleries. Like, they understand the concept of buying art and stuff. And even in Gallerist talks about, like, under certain circumstances when you're selling a painting, like, and you don't move a meeple out, that's because it was an online sale. Like, people still go to vineyards, they're around. Like, nobody's rebuilding cities after natural disasters quite like this. So it's a much harder theme to connect all of those parts to, and I think that's what holds this back for a lot of people. It's not going to be nearly as easy to connect that to as Kanban, where you're doing cars, Vinos, where you're doing vineyards, Gallerist, where you're doing paintings. Like, those...
CO2, where you're being a hippie.
Well, I haven't played CO2, so I'm not going to include that in this one. And I think that's what ultimately is going to hold this game back. I mentioned that after one playthrough, Zach, where it was you, me, and Paul, where when I play Gallerist, I don't even have to I don't have to think about, oh, I'm going to go hire an artist. Like, I don't say like, oh, I'm going to go take this tile. You know, like I always say, I'm hiring this artist. I'm, contracting for this painting. Like, the words you use to describe what you're doing in Gallerist match the theme much more naturally. Whereas, like, if you're not focused on that in Lisboa, it's easy to be like, and now I take a brown cube and a red cube, and, oh, I'm going to play the green card to do this action, and now I get a blue good. But if you take that little extra step and effort to, like, actually connect, like, all right, I'm repairing some fire and water damage, and, I'm sending 3 state officials to go work in this public building that I'm placing on the Gold Street to, give customers and benefits to the gold shops. Like, that little bit of extra thinking about what you're actually doing and why makes a big difference. And that was something I focused on Sunday, and it made a huge difference for me for how I felt about the game. It connected a lot more, the theme to the mechanics.
Do you think that that's a notch on the game at all, though? That you have?
Oh, it absolutely is. Okay. It absolutely is. That's the unfortunate thing about this game, is that you have to take that little. It doesn't come quite as naturally. Like, I can imagine, like, especially like Vital is Portuguese. He's from Lisboa. Like, this theme, I'm sure, is dear to his heart. So I'm sure when he plays this game, he sees all of that without even thinking about it. But especially for us as American designers in Colorado who don't have any experience with cities being leveled by earthquake, tsunami, fires.
At least not in the last century.
Yeah. And who aren't tied to the history of Lisboa and, like, why wigs are a big thing or why all the blue tiles there. Like, we have to take that extra step to learn the things we need to appreciate this game for how it all works together.
Which I think is just because it's such a niche theme, like you said.
Yep. It's the nichiest of his themes.
In a niche part of the niche hobby.
Yeah.
I mean, heavy cardboard is obviously a niche, and board games are a niche, and then you keep going down and down.
So I think that will ultimately hurt this game for a lot of people, especially as we'll get to here in the BGG comments, just to spoil a little bit of this. If you don't have somebody who teaches this game in such a way that you connect some of those elements, you're going to left feeling like you're just doing random things for no reason, and that's going to hurt.
I should put this here for this color because that gets me points.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that all being said, as I've made all those connections, and because this is, like, Vital's my favorite designer, and, like, taking the time to really appreciate this game for what it is, like, it's a fantastic game. I don't expect it to be my most played of his games, unfortunately. I think that I'm going to have a hard time finding people who would appreciate this, and yeah.
Like I said, I'm sure I have a feeling that Wes would like this game.
I think Wes would like it. Kyle, you obviously like it. Megan's enjoyed it. So, I mean, there's people that'll play it, but it's not like...
It's just the 3 people you play the most games with. They
unlike, say, Gallerist, where, like, Jeff and Paul both like Gallerist, and I wouldn't have a problem getting them to play Gallerist.
I do like Gallerist. It's mostly because of all the Facebook likes.
That all being said, I do really enjoy Lisboa. I'm happy it's in my collection. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And definitely early contender for art and components for me for 2017. So,
are you going to include that for? Are you going to say the Lisboa Kickstarter edition for components, or because you don't have the base one?
I
tell you, the difference was not out.
It's
huge to me.
I know. I'm just saying.
I think even the base component, like especially components, those player
they
boards,
all have the triple player.
The triple player boards alone
just
put this in that conversation for sure.
Yeah,
and then. I mean, any Ian O'Toole's art is almost always going to be.
I didn't say
the
art.
top
I
game.
said components.
No, because I mentioned that both.
I know.
Since Scythe released a new box this year, I mean, can that just be for
I'm okay with
components
that.
again?
But yeah, I really love Lisboa, and yeah, so that wraps up our review of Lisboa. As we hinted at several times, there were a lot of BGG responses.
So this is from Derek. My wife and my first game of Lisboa was a challenging learning session, not unlike our first time through Lacerda's Kanban. But halfway through the game, the way all of the mechanisms work together became clear. When we sat down to the game the next night, we both had a much better understanding of the rules, and it was relatively seamless play. The way in which all of the mechanisms work together in all of Lacerda's games is amazing, and his ability to weave theme with heavy Euro mechanisms is great. Overall, I think this game is worth much more playtime.
Yes.
Overall, I think this game is worth much more playtime, and I imagine We will only discover more of its beauty with more plays. The art is gorgeous. The components quality top-notch. The game is what I have come to expect in a Vita Lacerda game. Cheers to Zach to getting his post up just as I finished listening to Friday's episode. Fucking said I was going to do it, and I did it.
Yes.
Even with that bullshit first paragraph.
Yes.
It's not bullshit.
No.
It's pure
quality.
pure art.
Yes.
Next.
Avant-garde.
Yes. Thank you, Derek.
Yes, thank you, Derek. It's glad to see that it connected for him, and yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, are we going to comment on each of these, or just?
Well, I'm telling you, if you got this game and you tried to play it out of the box, reading the rules, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get what he's saying. Like, I do think this game is worth a lot more playtime. Like, the more I've
plays,
played
yeah.
it, the more I've enjoyed it, the more I see how things connect and work together, and the less disjointed some of it feels. Especially, like, now that I've taken the time to really sit through and read all the flavor text through the rule book and understand, like, oh, this explains, like, why when you get rid of a clergy tile, you get points. Like, why that happens. Like, there's a reason thematically that they give, which is essentially, like, this was a time when the government was taking more influence away from the church. So when you're giving up church bonuses, you're being rewarded by influence with the government. Like, the more I learn about things like that, the more all of this makes more sense. And
Inquisition, etc., etc.
yeah, they ended the Inquisition.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good old Portuguese king whose name I don't know.
They didn't expect that. Mike says, I have not played any Vita Lacerda games yet. Any recommendations on where to start? I think I have a friend who owns the Gallerist, but we haven't gotten it to the table. Interested in hearing your discussion, although I'm going to totally disregard anything you say because you have a review copy, so clearly your review will be unreliable.
Yes.
Yep. You're right, I was totally influenced by the fact that we
We got a review copy, so let me just take a big dump in the box. And your recommendations where to start? Start with Gallerist. That's probably
definitely start with Gallerist. I think it is easily his most accessible game. It's do one of 4 actions, and depending on which of the 4 you do, pick one of 2 things, and then just
I'd agree with that, and how you sit on that game will determine probably if you like his other games or not.
Yes.
I mean, I like the Gallerist a lot. So,
Yeah.
so
Gotta get you playing more VTOL. See if that trend holds up.
Yeah.
If you like most VTOLs after liking the Gallerist or not.
Gallerist is still also like way more highly rated than a lot of his other stuff too, isn't it?
Yes. Galler's 59, right?
Like
Probably.
overall BGG.
Yeah.
Gallerist is real good.
Keep going on that. So Derek responds, or also mentions, or let's see.
I'm
Derek
pretty
just-
sure it was a response.
Yeah.
A response to
Mike's comments.
Okay, all right, okay. Derek responds with, I personally feel that the Gallerist is the most accessible of Lacerda's games. I have taught it to a few people as an introduction into heavier games. I think the Gallerist highlights some mechanisms that are in his other games, and I feel that Lisboa would be the next step after that. I find Kanban one of his hardest to teach, though it is very rewarding once you learn it. To me, Vinhos falls somewhere in between, and he hasn't gotten the chance to play CO2 yet.
And at this point, I'm starting to suspect that Derek is just like me in a different life. Like
The picture he
all of
has
that
looks to be like a
applies.
short guy, so maybe.
Yeah. Because that is exactly how I feel about all of that. Like, I think Gallerist is the most accessible. I think that it's a great intro to heavier games. Kanban is a pain in the ass to teach, but is a lot of fun when you learn it. And yeah, Venus is somewhere in between. Derek said it perfectly.
All right, so Bullshit Paul
Bullshit Paul.
decided to comment.
One of my favorite Pauls.
Top 3.
He's got some opinions.
Is number 1 every other Paul, and then nothing, and then Bullshit Paul?
So the Bullshit Paul is his second favorite Paul. His favorite Paul tied with all the rest.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. All right, so Paul says, I love heavy Euros. Surprisingly, I'm not a fan of Lisboa. Rated 5.5 out of 10.
Why are you using 0.5 ratings, Paul? Come on. There's
halfway.
10 of them. You don't need a half.
Because it's halfway between like
Yeah.
and
So it's...
So
Anyway.
for his heavy Euros, could you say what they are? Do you know what his heavy Euro that he loves?
Oh, he loves
Oh,
splatter games. Like
food chain,
Food
like
chain.
hard,
He
rock
loves
hard.
He loves the Gallerist.
Indonesia, Gallerist.
Okay.
I don't think he's played Vinhos.
No, he has not played those.
Colonists, Tramways. We're both dying to play 18XX, Age of Steam. Like, yeah, no, Paul definitely is a heavy.
Paul has very much
Okay.
Adrian's taste in heavy
Yeah.
games.
But then luckily he also has taste with me and Jeff.
Luckily,
so.
yeah.
I only see him at Wednesday nights where we're playing
lighter games
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
And he's having fun while Adrian's off in the corner.
I have fun at game nights. Go fuck yourself. Continue the thing.
The bullshit, Paul.
All right. I've thought long and hard, phrasing, about why, and I've narrowed it down to 1, the setup time is atrocious. A special place in hell is reserved for a game designer that makes me randomly play 60 cubes, yes, I counted, out before each playthrough. Not to mention the random church tiles, random building bonuses, not required, player board setup, public buildings, ships, contracts, and noble cards. Did I miss anything?
So one thing we didn't touch about when we were talking about the gameplay, like the setup in this game is, in my opinion, quite long.
Which, we didn't talk about this, but we should have, which I didn't bring it up earlier because I knew I'd seen this comment, and I'm going to bring it up now. So go ahead and finish the one, because there's one more sentence in one, and then I'm going to go off.
However, this can be forgiven if I love the game, e.g., Gloomhaven. Thus we come to
2, which we'll touch on in a second. The setup time for this, although it is longer than I'll grant, I would imagine he could probably set up. We were talking about this in a group chat.
/Slack.
He could probably set up Gallerist before I could set up Lisboa, but not by like so much that it's like egregious difference. It's not like it takes an extra 20 minutes.
And I play a ton of Feld, so it's the same. I mean, Feld games are fiddly as crap to set up too.
Setting up the 60 cubes, like they all go in the same center of the board, and you use, in a 3 or 4 player game, you use every cube in the bag. So just, if you're really that worried about setup time, dump the bag and just start moving them onto spots.
It's got the same,
it'll still be random
Five
enough.
Tribes does the same thing, so.
Like, there's not a special place in hell for a game designer. Like, that's not that bad.
Come on.
Setting up, the public buildings, like, you make a big stack, you cut it in half, flip them so that there's green and blue with equal stacks. All, like, the contracts, like, none of this is that, especially, again, he talks about liking other VTOL games. It's not that much more ridiculous than setting up all of the unique scorings in, like, it's not that. I don't
also
think it's
remember
that bad.
he's only played the Gallerist, so he doesn't know. Did he play Kanban?
I think he's played Kanban.
Okay, then never mind.
I don't think I've got him to play Vinos yet. Maybe I have.
No.
I do have to slightly agree with Paul that the setup,
I think it takes longer
You
than
weren't.
I'd like.
I set up the entire game from scratch in less time than it took you, Jeff, to get from your house 5, 6, 7 blocks away to here.
He stopped. So it took like 15 minutes.
Yeah, but
And
15
we
minutes
were, and
for
we
a
were
2.5 hour game.
and we were completely set up by then. And that's with me setting it by myself because you were eating, Zach. Like, if you were sitting there with other people to help you do setup, it goes even quicker. Like, I don't think it's that
But
bad.
how is the setup if you don't know?
Now, if you don't know the game, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
But that's true for a lot of other
Oh,
games.
yeah.
Like, if you don't know how to set it up, then good luck. So, yeah, but once you know what things do and where they go, like, I
I've
can
got
set
like
this game
6 or
quick.
7 games of practice and setting this up. It's like a breeze.
It is. Wait till you play some of the Feld games.
All right, so you can move on
Anyway,
to number 2.
on to number 2.
Number 2, the game mechanics feel disjointed. This is really the biggest reason. In other words, the mechanics don't come together in a way that they feel more like the sum of their parts. I think the root cause here is that they tried to cram too many pieces into the game.
Which, I mean, there's no they, it's him, because it was designed solely by VTOL.
Yes.
I think that again, and he kind of comes into this in 3, so I'm going to touch back on both of these in the same thing, so go ahead and go into 3 here.
All right. Number 3, I'm not really immersed in the theme in the same way that I was for Kanban and the Gallerist. Too many things seem forced. A patron leaving your gallery when you sell a piece of art makes sense. Gallerist. The boss checking on each area and penalizing lowest performers makes sense. Kanban. Getting victory points only when there is a public building at the end of your building street does not make sense. Why is the bishop running in circles? Why does collecting sets of rubble power me up? Why do I have a wig fetish?
That's ending
Yes.
Paul's comment. Like, so that is the end. I'm not cutting anything off.
That's funny.
Look, whatever you do in your spare time with wigs, Paul, I don't, that's your own thing.
So to cover both of these, so one, this is an area where I think some of this, Jeff, I worry then snowballed onto you. I didn't do a good job. Like, Zach, you, me, Paul, and Bob sat down to play a game night, which was a disaster because I didn't remember hardly anything about the game. I thought I knew way more about it than I did. So that took a really long time and caused a lot of problems. Then later on, when you, me, and Paul met up, at that point, we'd watched videos and understood the mechanics, and so we didn't really go through a teach and like explaining like this is what you're doing here, this is what you're doing there. I think that if I had done a better job teaching in either one of those scenarios, it would have made a bigger difference. And then I think that snowballed to you, Jeff, because then you learned from Paul and Zach.
Who had learned like nothing of the actual
so like going through his
background
things
for
here,
these
getting
rules.
victory points only when there's a public building at the end of your building street doesn't make sense. Well, it talks in the rules that the idea is that those public buildings are what is driving traffic down your street. So like if the public building at the end of your street is relevant to your industry, it's driving traffic down there, thus your shop is being successful, so you're getting points. Why is the bishop running in circles? I have no idea. That's the only one
I even looked
that's the
that
only
up.
one I can't answer.
The one about the clergy tiles, I was like, okay, that makes more sense.
That one I just have to say is it's a
mechanic.
It's a mechanic. It's an
Yeah.
abstracted mechanic to allow you to choose from different clergy tiles and to have the little timer for adjusting the treasury and scoring influence points.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
And I do have
Like,
to say that mechanic probably has the least involvement in any
anything.
other
So,
part of the game.
Again, doesn't hardly matter.
Yeah.
Why does collecting sets of rubble power me up? Again, it says in the game book, they rebuilt a lot of the city using rubble. They used a special construction technique where they built frames and then filled them with rubble that were the frames provided stability to hold them against earthquakes while the rubble like wasn't readily susceptible to fire. So rebuilding Lisboa after big fire and earthquake, they made the city more earthquake and fire resistant.
Well, and because of that, it is you made your own warehouses out of
The rubble,
Yeah.
and so that lets you have the more warehouse space and everything, thus the powering you up. And why do I have a wig fetish? Because everybody in Lisboa, in Portugal, in most of Europe, in the 1700s, was obsessed with wigs.
I bet it could have easily been victory points and just,
Yeah, but I appreciate the idea to
Yeah.
connecting it to the theme. Like it even talks in the opening thing, and I said I was coming back to it, so buckle in.
Uh-oh.
Buckle up.
Click, click.
Why weren't you buckled up while driving? That's really
Well, I wasn't
unsafe. I'm talking to the people listening.
Sorry. A more ubiquitous, trendy commodity from that time was the wig. The following excerpt perfectly explains why wigs were chosen as the, quote, victory points in this game. Quote, with wigs being the universal male consumer product of the 1700s and everyone from shopkeeper to king wearing one, men were spoiled for choice. While a shop boy might only be able to afford one wig and thus had to choose wisely and for durability, those of the 1% of the population, the noblemen and the wealthy citizens, could afford to own dozens of wigs. If they considered themselves to be a leader of fashion, were eccentric, or merely had the money to indulge a whim, they could purchase wigs that others could only dream of owning, or not, as the case may be. End quote. From The Wig Business Was Big Business in the 18th Century by Lucinda Brandt. So,
obvious.
I appreciate, again, another aspect of this game that ties the entire theme and mechanics back to the setting of Lisboa in the 1700s. So, that's why you have a wig fetish, Paul. Also, you're weird. And
So
bullshit.
it's because I had 100, you had 117 wigs, and I had 107.
I was far more eccentric and
Yeah,
successful.
he's a
than
better
you.
person than you.
That sounds like the 1700s to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So we had a reply to that, and it was just it looks like some sort of game designer named, I don't know, Vito Lacerda. I believe.
Oh, shit. Designer
the guy-
himself.
Yeah.
Stepping in to tell Bullshit Paul how bullshit he is.
Yep. I really wish if he did, for whatever reason, if he had said bullshit, Paul, I would have.
Oh, I'd have died.
I'll rate your games 10 out of 10 forever. Just
10 out of
because.
10. Just call him bullshit Paul.
Yeah.
So, designers, go find
So
anywhere where Paul comments on BGG
Yeah.
and call him Bullshit Paul.
So Vital Lacerda,
Yeah. He goes, I presume you've only played once,
it was 3 times.
so it's okay. By your questions, you don't know anything about the history of the city.
This is correct.
Then it is natural that you felt that way. Not your fault. The teacher
Yeah, sorry.
should be able to answer your questions. If he didn't, he couldn't expect an easy understanding of the game. Specifically, that this is one that's totally connected with the history of the city. All the answers to your questions can be found in the rulebook.
As Adrian read excerpts from, it actually answered most of those except why the
Bishop runs in circles.
runs in circles. The cardinal runs in
Cardinal,
circles.
yeah.
So did he take Paul's side? Is that
No,
what we're saying?
It's
No,
it's
no.
just-
Well, I mean, so Vital didn't take Paul. Like, Paul was wrong. But Vital was like, I can understand why you would be wrong.
Yeah.
And it was 2.5 plays
true.
because that one at game night really shouldn't count.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was rough.
But yeah, I think it's still the thing of it doesn't feel as intuitive just from playing the game. Getting context from the rule books, you're like, okay, now I get it. But if you don't have access to that context for whatever reason, then
which goes back to the thing, like, this is a game that takes place in the 1700s in Lisboa, Portugal. Like, most Americans probably don't, especially if you say Lisboa and not Lisbon. Most Americans, I would
aren't going to know what it is.
They're not going to know.
Yeah.
And so we don't have that cultural understanding that kind of goes into it,
Well,
which
yeah.
is where a good teacher
exactly.
is helpful.
Well, and then even like the thing you're reading earlier, without the context, you're like, okay, I have more wigs than you. How does wigs contribute to the fact that we were rebuilding a city? Then so now with the context of it, you're like, okay, it makes more sense why you use that as a representation for it.
Yeah.
But you're just like, I have 20 wigs, you have 10. Sorry, Jeff.
Jeff is obviously wearing a wig.
Yeah.
Can't be real.
There's a lot of hair.
All right. So Paul sheepishly responds, thank you for your reply, and I apologize for being
Special place in hell.
Yeah.
Specifically used in his original post.
Yeah, he even commented to us. He was just like, oh shit, Vito responded to me.
Oh shit, I'm an idiot.
Yep. Thank you for your reply, and I apologize for being overtly harsh.
Overly, not overtly.
It wasn't very overt.
No.
No, it was overt.
It was very overt, yeah.
For being overly harsh. If it means anything, it's simply because I love Gallerus and Kanban, so my expectations were extremely high. I've played 3 times, well, more like 2.5. You're correct in that I don't know anything about the history of the city. I also don't know anything about art galleries, but Gallerus is one of my favorite of all-time games. My main critique is not the setup time or the theme connection, but rather that the mechanics of the game simply don't come together for me. I wish I could put it better into words. This is why I don't review games myself. I will think some more and come back and try and explain my viewpoint better. My favorite thing is that after Paul said this in our text message, he's just like, well, I won't be able to do it, Zach, so you just do it for me. And it's just like, okay, I have to explain to the designer why Paul thinks your game's shit. I'm like, no pressure.
Right.
Hashtag no pressure.
Yeah, I think that, like, unfortunately, I think it's one of those things, like, it's really hard. Like, once you formed opinions, we just talked about anchoring. Once you form an opinion based around something, it's really hard to change that.
Yes.
And change that baseline. And so...
And first impressions are everything. If you had a miserable time that first time at the meetup, you're not going to like that game.
So I'm sorry, Paul. I feel like I've ruined Lisboa for you. And my bad.
I really like Gallerus as well.
Gallerus is a fantastic game.
I was definitely expecting more from Lisboa for me, personally.
Yeah.
And he didn't have all of that. He just had...
Well...
He just had me and Paul in that first game to be like...
It's like, man, Paul sure does hate this game. Zach sure does hate this game, but I sure do like the Gallerist.
So that wraps up BGG responses.
Yes, it does.
If you have any thoughts on Lisboa and want to chime in, jump over to Board Game Geek Guild, guild number 2731, and you can find Zach's post. You can read his awesome intro, which involves smash cuts. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, go check that out. We did also receive Jeff's favorite thing in the world, an email.
Emails. Love the emails. This one comes from Craig, titled R.E. Lisboa. Zach, Jeff, Adrian. Hey, you guys are reviewing Lisboa this week. What a great game. Vito Lacerda makes games that burn the brain up in the best possible way. One thing I like about his games, I almost never know what I'm doing for a while, but I always have a lot of fun doing it. Lisboa has some really interesting mechanics. I like the treasury cards a lot, especially for funding an event. There's so much blocking in this game, too. Whether it be building a ship or opening a public building or hiring court officials, you can really make it tough for your opponent, and they can make you change up your own strategy, too. For as intricate as it is, Lisboa seems like a good length, at least when you know the rules and know what you're doing. It seems like those rubble sets on the player boards can fill up pretty quick, and before you know, you're in phase 2 and scrambling to do what you can for wigs. Even though most of the rules are straightforward, I find myself referring to the player guide for clarification on the clergy tiles or the decrees, which I think is probably the main reason that exists, period. Yeah.
You're not going to memorize all of those.
One rule I forgot the first time was the one where it allows you to use a rubble set marker on the marquee to make an extra decree when you take that action. And I'm sure there are other rules that slip through the cracks. That's probably the one I used the least. I always forgot to be like, oh yeah, what's that thing for?
Which that worked really well for me Sunday. Like, oh yeah, I'm constantly going to take like 2 of them.
dump,
Like, I had
dump.
the most decrees.
Yeah. But the icons on the main board and the player board do an excellent job of laying everything out for the most part. To me, the art, the game design, and the whole experience are top tier. If I remember correctly, even Zach said he tolerated playing Lisboa, so that's some pretty high praise. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the game. Hey, also, I won the giveaway last week. How awesome is that? Anyway, it'd be cool to have another Eagle Griffin game up for my shelf. Here's my address.
Which we won't read.
What? It's part of the email.
It is technically part of the email.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, just to address this because I didn't throw it in the main episode, but Craig, your game will be in the mail very shortly. I passed your address along to Eric from Cardboard Horde, who's running it, the Punchboard Media giveaway, and so 7/7s will be on your way soon.
Is that $1, Eric?
Yes, that's $1, Eric.
That's bullshit, Eric.
So many bullshit people.
Oh,
As for the email itself, I agree with a lot of what you say. I think that the length is absolutely fine, especially, again, as you learn more and more what you're doing. We played, the 3 of us, in like 2 hours. And
I do have to say this game plays probably shorter than it feels.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, like it talks about, like all of a sudden you look over and you're like, oh crap, like Jeff's almost full on 4 rubble sets. Like the game's about to end. You know, I think that
You can make the game go a lot quicker. Like
If you try.
If you try, like I almost want to think it's like, is there any way you could just make like the first phase immediately go to the end of the second phase? Just a thought experiment, not.
I mean, the fastest you could do it is if, depending on the distribution of rubble cubes at the beginning,
Exactly,
if
yeah.
if you were able to, if you drew the right favor tile, which would have to be the public building's favor tile, then you took public building, you follow somebody on, you're like not the first player. You follow on public buildings, build a public building, get 2 rubble cubes. On your turn, you take that same action with the bonus of taking that favor back.
Yep.
Build for 2 rubble cubes, and then follow again. You could do it in 1 turn around the table. You could end the first round. Like,
Basically, 3 turns.
What I was curious was, is there any way you could get it to have it go from the end of the first phase to like immediately be like, well, we actually triggered the end of the second phase too.
Trigger both at the same time.
Well,
That'd
you
probably
get
be pretty rough.
4, and then you have 1, so you just need 3, and then you do a public build. That's the thing. It was like you could get 1 away from it.
You'd have to get 6
close,
rubble tiles in 1 turn.
which would be yeah.
You don't have to get 3.
No,
3.
No,
So you'd have
I
to
know.
get
I'm literally saying out of 2 of them, you get 4.
6.
So you have 4 of 2 of them. So you just need.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you do, like go hard on like 1.
on
I
like
see what you're saying.
brown and blue, and then
Yeah.
need 3 reds to.
And then there's a spot where it's like, here's 2 reds, like, and then it has if that one has a tile that's like, you get a rubble.
Oh, you definitely could then.
Boom. Well, the question is, could you do that before the cards ran out?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It'd be tricky.
Theoretical Lisboa.
But yes, I
Strategies.
do agree that the end does come quickly, and not in the slightly negative connotations that Jeff had about this game being shorter than it feels.
Oh,
I think that the game plays in a reasonable amount of
Oh, yeah.
time for all the depth that it has.
I can't believe I'm taking Adrian's side on this podcast.
I mean,
That's why we brought you on.
you know, you had Terraforming Mars. You didn't have the Adrian hate. That's really not everyone can have everything.
No.
That's true.
But yeah, thanks for the awesome email, Craig.
Yes.
And I hope you enjoy your game.
I will say I tolerated every game that I played of it. So
You weren't miserable.
no,
What's your most miserable game?
Food chain.
Battlestar
Yeah,
Galactica.
probably Food Chain.
yeah, Food
And Adrian's is clearly Arabian Nights.
Oh God, yes.
I don't know if I have one.
Battlestar Galactica is mine.
Ooh. I
Was
like
Food Chain
that.
your 1 or 2? I can't remember.
Food chain is my one.
Okay.
Like it not was is. Food chain is my one.
I think Arabian Nights is like 2 or 3 for me. So that's why I was like,
Yeah. It wasn't until I started the podcast that I realized how diametrically opposed Zach and I really are in games.
Which is good.
yeah.
For a
It
podcast.
works well for the show.
But it makes it a pain in the ass to play games.
Yeah. Well, it's like, how were we friends before this? Like, how did we get to be friends with such vastly different tastes?
I mean, I talk a lot of shit about Magic the Gathering. I don't hate playing Magic the Gathering, but it would be my most miserable game if I had to spend all of the money playing Magic the Gathering.
It's like, Jeff, do you want to? All right, we're gonna play Magic. Just spend $500.
That's it.
Just
To make
just wait, just bring $500 and just burn it.
Yes.
You can buy one card for like $500.
I'm sure you can.
I have one card.
All right. In what has been one of our longest review episodes, I think we can start to
For
wrap
one of our
this bad
biggest
boy up.
games.
Yeah, one of our biggest games. Which, stay tuned. We haven't worked out the exact details of what we're doing. But as we mentioned, we have a copy of Lisboa in shrink, which I have a copy already. Zach, Jeff, I don't suppose you guys are interested in having a copy.
Nope.
So I think that means the listener's going to get a copy.
I'm a listener.
Not you.
Damn it.
Once again, I should just knock him out and then.
Just get that blackjack
Well, I know
out,
he
hit him
lives
in the back of the
now, so-
head.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so stay tuned because we will be doing a giveaway for that very shortly. We did just finish an Eagle Griffin Games giveaway, so we might wait a week or two while we sort out some details and things. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed the review. Hopefully, you have a better idea of what to expect when you sit down and play Lisboa. Whether you're somebody like Zach who won't enjoy it quite as much, or whether you're like Kyle who will think fantastic and lovely things about the game. Yeah. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us on Board Game Geek Guild, guild number 2731, where Zach does the awesome posts with smash cuts and everything.
It's real good.
Are you going to do one Friday again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you gonna,
we know what we're
Maybe
gonna
not.
do.
I mean, maybe not a smash cut, but there will definitely be a post.
Yes, there'll be a post.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram /Mile High Game Guys. And you can find us on Twitter. I tweet under at MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
And I'm Jeff_MHGG.
And Kyle, want to plug your Twitter again?
Yeah, Sounding Board CO.
And your YouTube channel?
YouTube/Sounding Board.
Right on. And I understand you'll have a Lisboa video coming soon.
We do. It's being edited now.
So feel free to check out Sounding Board's awesome things. And I'm sure at some point we'll make appearances over
Definitely.
there as well.
We will make them do challenges they will regret.
I'm just.
Cameron's already decided the challenge, too. I think it's eating the cupcakes filled with gross stuff.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
And we will not put beans in
Can
it.
you just blend
Anyway,
chicken wings, bone and all?
We won't. Oh, God, stop. Again, things that aren't.
Don't give us ammo.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways,
As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
and I'm All Saints Jeff.
I'm Kyle.
Thanks for joining us,
Thanks for
Kyle.
good-
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Like if you had the stuffed Oreo part on the outside and then the cookie in the middle.
Yeah, that's
Well, the
what's
cookie's the worst part, so yes.
I'm just saying.
That's what he was saying, Kyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
You're the worst.
anyway,
It's a compliment sandwich.
Let me
You'd
give my
want to see
final thoughts
compliments
on
on
this
the
game.
inside.
Shut up, all of you. Jesus.
Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table
pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.